Вітаю, це медіа-центр Україн Одеса. І сьогодні наш брифінг присвячений протезуванню та реабілітації військових та цивільних. До нас завітали Наталія Одаrii-Zakharieva, директорка Департаменту охорони здоров'я Одеської обласної військової адміністрації, Ілля Лубашев, начальник 78-го реабілітаційного госпіталю, Віталій Колtsов, директор Одеського обласного відділення Фонду соціального захисту осіб з інвалідністю, Андрій Белозyorov та Тетяна Рудь, провідний фахівець та фахівчиня медичного відділу протезування та ортезування Одеського казенного експериментально-протезно-ортопедичного підприємства. Також у залі присутні Інна Мельник, начальниця кардіоревматологічного відділення військового медичного клінічного центру Південного регіону, та Ігор Гончаренко, полковник медичної служби ТВО заступника начальника ВМКЦ Південного регіону з хірургії. Дякую, що прийшли до нас. Пані Наталія, вам слово.
Доброго дня, шановні жителі Одеського регіону, шановні журналісти, шановні присутні. Я в першу чергу вдячна за таку організацію, що ми маємо змогу сьогодні з колегами проговорити саме про три речі. Перше – це безкоштовна медицина, доступна та якісна. Сьогодні у нас на порядку денному саме є проблема, яку люди не розуміють, і багато звернень по цим питанням, саме ампутація, протезування та реабілітація. Реабілітація – це має дуже багато таких направлень, саме реабілітація психологічна, реабілітація після протезування, реабілітація після хірургічних втручань. Тому сьогодні, маючи таку нагоду, я хочу розповісти саме про те, що як все відбувається, як і для цивільних людей, і для військових, і наскільки все організовано в лікарнях, наскільки все організовано в країні взагалі, незважаючи вторгнення російської агресії на нашу територію. Пройшов рік, але ми можемо сьогодні відверто з людьми говорити про це, що наша країна сильна, незалежна і спроможня. І люди, які залишились тут, які повірили нашого президента в першу чергу в команду, сьогодні надають таку важливу допомогу. Маючи нагоду, ми сьогодні можемо спілкуватися з фаховими людьми, хто на протязі доби і працюють, бачать цих хворих, надають допомогу і як це все у нас проходить. Я, мабуть, надам, ми перейдемо до Іллі Сергійовича, він проговорить і вже потім ми зможемо продовжити нашу розмову.
Дякую. Пане Ілля, будь ласка.
Доброго дня, дякую за запрошення. Так, в нас на сьогоднішній день є дійсно велика потреба в реабілітації, тому що ми повинні ставити бійців на ноги для того, щоб вони могли повернутися або налагодити своє життя після травм та поранень. Це дуже великий пласт роботи, який, на жаль, буде тягнутися ще не один рік і навіть не одне десятиліття. І в зв'язку з тим, що наші сили збільшились і збільшилась потреба в даних заходах, на жаль, в нас не було достатньо розвита ця система. Навіть та система, яка в нас в Міністерстві оборони раніше була, вона недостатня для такої кількості, тобто вона не розрахована. На сьогоднішній день ми намагаємось збільшити наші можливості для того, щоб ми могли реабілітувати всіх хлопців після перемоги і зараз, і після перемоги. І після перемоги це буде реабілітація для всієї сім'ї, і для військових, для його дружини з дитиною, тому що я як фахівець більше 20 років займаюся безпосередньо цією справою. Тобто можу сказати, що коли йде реабілітація тільки для нього, це недостатньо. Сім'я повинна знати, як поводитись, як працювати з бійцями. Тому що коли ми повертаємо звідти, ми зовсім...
An increased number of the injured who require prosthetics, and now we have been expanding our activities in this area. We have recently discussed this with the experts in this area, Mr. Gedrji and Mr. Goncharenko, and we want to provide the Ministry of Defense the platform for such activities beyond civilian institutions. Mr. Koltsov, the floor is yours. Good afternoon, dear colleagues. Good afternoon, dear journalists. I'd like to say that in 1991, there is the Fund for Social Protection of Persons with Disabilities under the Ministry of Defense. And for all these years, our fund has been providing support to persons with disabilities, training, employment, and other issues. And now we have additional function is to provide technical means for rehabilitation for our military, including prosthetics, orthotics, provision of wheelchairs, and before that this function was under the mandate of other institutions, but now all civilians can get quality prostheses and other needed means for rehabilitation according to the relevant decisions and rehabilitation certificates. For a person with disabilities to receive prosthesis and or a scooter or a wheelchair, there should be special decisions made. Now, taking in consideration the full-scale invasion of Ukrainian territory by Russia, we are also involved in prosthetics of our military, who are now undergoing rehabilitation in military and civilians hospitals. Thanks to Ms. Zakharieva, the specialists of our department can provide the relevant services to our heroes, to our military. Our experts visit the injured, and we also have the materials that we provide to them, and these materials, this brochure, can be also found on our website. This leaflet contains information about what documents are needed for our military to get quality prostheses. So they need a copy of passport, the copy of identification code, the decision of the Military Healthcare Commission, and also the order of the head of the unit where a person served when was injured. And there are three actually methods how to submit these documents to our fund, including the central recruitment centers or the electronic cabinet, etc. And thus, we can get information about the military in need, and the person can also select in between different institutions, and we have around 150 enterprises that were licensed by the State Medical Service of Ukraine and other institutions to get prostheses. So this person can select also different cities, like Lviv, Chernivtsi, etc. So this is up for the person to decide what enterprise to apply. I'd like to emphasize that we provide prostheses to 100% of persons with disabilities. And we're talking here not only about the military, but also about civilians who were injured as a result of the hostilities. And all expenses are covered by our fund. We have discussed these issues with our colleagues recently. Quite often, families ask if it is possible to undergo prosthesis abroad. But I can say that they can get prosthesis prostheses free of charge in Ukraine, and if they have an opportunity, a possibility, they can go abroad. But those prostheses that we provide are made of foreign spare parts. So this is this is up for the military to decide what enterprise to select. And now I would like to give floor to Mr. Belozyorov. Thank you for being invited here. The next year we are going to celebrate the 80th anniversary of our enterprise, which is Odessa state-owned experimental prosthetic and orthopedic enterprise. It is very important to remember that the first prosthesis is very important. The amputant should not expect that the very next day we can provide prosthesis to him or to her, so they should wait for several months. So we should get ready. We should offer all the spare parts which we believe are needed to the person who addresses us. We can order them from Germany, from Asia, so there are special nodes or special elements for prosthetics. We have the inpatient unit where we are ready to train the person how to use prostheses, because we also provide meals there. We have special equipment for the person to learn how to work with the prostheses. On the territory, we also have the same walking lane with sand, with pebbles, for the person to learn how to walk outside. And we should also remember we need to adjust prostheses because the conditions might change after the person starts walking. And the stump also deforms. So the person stays with us until we are sure that the person has learned how to walk using the prostheses. Of course, when it comes to the military and they're limited in time before they should come back to their military unit, but we do everything possible to provide proper training to our military. It is also very important for the amputants to be able to communicate with each other, to share their experience. This raises their morale and they understand that they can walk and live on with prostheses. And they also now require more mobile prostheses, and this means that we should also order those spare parts, those elements that we believe could be useful for those who want to return to the front line. It is also possible in the framework of our enterprise. We also have the equipment for physical therapy, which allow us to recover the lost functions of our patients. We have consultants in our inpatient institutions. We have therapists, so patients with flu, angina, or other illnesses can also refer to the therapists that we have. I'd like to add a few words. And as for advantages of our prosthetics, after a person with disability receives prosthesis from us, he or she can continue receive rehabilitation services, or we also provide maintenance to them free of charge for 1 year. Yes, we have medical and technical teams that are also mobile teams that are ready to visit our patient if this patient cannot get to us in case of a certain damages of the prosthesis. And we can also transport this person to the inpatient unit. I'd like to give floor to Ms. Rud. Good afternoon. I'd like to say that the Odessa state-owned experimental prosthetic and orthopedic enterprise is the biggest in the southern region of Ukraine. We can accept people with disabilities from every region of Ukraine and provide free accommodation, free meals, and also rehabilitation services. We would like to invite persons with disabilities, our military, to us. Even if a person lacks some documents, we are ready to accept them. We provide rehabilitation services. We make a stamp ready for prosthetics. Our enterprise gladly welcomes all persons with disabilities. We provide free services to elderly. We also provide services to people with general disabilities, and of course our military. We are concerned about them. Our doors are opened, and we are more than happy to help. Colleagues, do you have any questions? Olga Dunska, the fifth channel. What is the capacity of your institution? Do these people need to wait in queue before they can get to you? I can give an answer. So the war, unfortunately, is ongoing in our country. And that's why if a person has all documents, this person can refer to us right away. There is no queue, so to say, now. When there was only the free prosthetics, then there was a queue for people who had to wait. During 2022, we prepared people to go abroad for rehabilitation and to get their prostheses. But now everything is well organized here in Ukraine, and everything depends on the availability of the documents of our patients. Institutions all over Ukraine are operative. I mean the regions which are not under shelling and which are ready to provide first aid and also rehabilitation and processes. So there is no queue or line right now. Our specialists issued around 25,000 referrals in 2022, including the military, those involved in hostilities, and people, civilians injured as a result of hostilities. There are 100 licensed enterprises who were able to provide services to all those who got referrals. Around 3,000 citizens in Odessa received help, and there was temporary occupation of Kherson and dangerous situation in Mykolaiv. So our specialists provided services to those regions, and around 3,000 people there also received auxiliary means for rehabilitation. And we can provide services to more than 40 persons with disabilities. So we have separate rooms for them. So for men and women, we are always ready to provide aid to people. The next question, please. The mic, please. Yulia Rябова, Grad TV channel. The question is about prostheses for children. And we know that children, they grow up, so they need to get a new prosthesis, so they need to have them changed like every year or two. So are there any funds, budget funds provided for this? When it comes to our children, I can tell you about our small Alexandra, who she is well known. She was injured in Zatoka, and we were able to send her to Austria. And first, I would like to thank our doctors who were able to save that girl, and then we were able to send her to Austria. And all the services were provided free of charge, including staying in Austria, rehabilitation. She is now back in Odessa, but we understand that she grows up, and now she has an opportunity to come back here to Ukraine and to continue dancing. And so the program is free of charge both for children and adults. And the fund provided 127,000, and now she has got a new prosthesis after she grew up. Alexandra lost her leg as a result of the shelling in Zatoka, and she can got prostheses abroad or free of charge in Ukraine. Every 2 years after their changes, the child can get new prostheses. This is in line with the legislation. Now, I have a question to employment of those military who has lost their limbs. Do you have any numbers for this year or for 2022? I cannot tell you about employment because another state institution is responsible for this. And we can actually free of charge train people with disabilities free of charge. There are also organizations who provide aid to the military with disabilities who who are unable to continue their service in the armed forces of Ukraine. So there are such organizations, and today I've met representatives of such organizations. So these people, they are ready to support military with employment, those who cannot continue their service. And also the state employment centers are responsible for this according to the legislation. Every Friday we have meetings with the military or civilians with disabilities who require employment, because we receive requests from enterprises all over Ukraine. Ms. Odarii, I'd like to say that the main objective of our activities is to create rehabilitation centers. And we also use support of donors. We provide training to the specific specialists on the whole territory of Odesa region. We use all beds in hospitals together with the regional administration. The repairs where needed are undergoing. We buy needed equipment for the full rehabilitation of our people and to be able to employ it later on. I have one more question, and this is the specific topic. This is eye prosthetics. Is it envisaged by the state budget? Can people get such services in Ukraine? And we know that we have the Institution of Eye Diseases, named after Filatov, that provides services to both military and civilians with relevant injuries. We have in Odessa enough capacities to cope by ourselves, so we have not sent anyone abroad because we have this Filatov Institute. The next question. Maria Lutanska, Digest Odessa. Can you explain the chain for the patients? What is the order of referral for patients to get prostheses? So at first they need to get the documents, and the documents that I've mentioned, and these are the copy of passports, copy of the identification code, the decision of the Military Healthcare Commission, if this person is military, etc. And our specialists visit those hospitals where our military stay, our servicemen stay, and there is a leaflet that contains the whole information about the whole referral chain. We have already visited different hospitals in Odessa region to examine the situation. After a person gets the relevant documents, this person can address for help through regional centers or through electronic cabinet online. And as soon as the person gets all the documents needed, it takes for our specialists 3 days to issue a referral, and we also inform the person about receiving all the documents, and then the person can address the enterprise that the person selects. There is also the list of enterprises in Ukraine, relevant enterprises, and then this is up to for the prosthetics enterprise to work with this person. Every month we conclude contract with enterprises, and according to the contract, enterprise has 45 calendar days to produce relevant prostheses. And as I've already mentioned, there is 1 year free of charge maintenance period. Do we have any other questions? Great. Then we will stop here. Thank you for being with us. We had Nataliya Odarii-Zakharieva, Vitaly Koltsov, Andriy Belozyorov, Tetyana Rud. And tomorrow we'll see you here at 11 a.m. Stay tuned.